UConn football heading up to BC this weekend, so we have to have Mike Gualtieri on. He's been on before to talk BC. I'm sure a lot of you interact with him on Twitter on a semi-regular basis. So he's got something fun to say. So Mike, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, no problem, Jared. I was thinking about it too. I think the last time I was on, was it 3 years ago? I think, and I kind of acted a little cocky. And then that game in East Hartford, UConn came in and beat BC. So that was
Yeah,
not great. I think that's your first win in the series. Well, wait,
yeah.
that was last year.
It,
I'm sure you're a little more confident this time around.
yeah, no, I'm feeling relatively good heading into this one, but I know no, it's never easy going on the road against a power conference team here. But let's just start with this one, Mike. I know probably not the season BC fans were hoping for this year under Bill O'Brien, 1-5 heading into this game. Just give me your overall thoughts on where you think this team stands heading into this game against UConn.
Yeah, so big picture wise, season year two, Bill O'Brien, 7-6 last year. Um, Pinstripe Bowl, so that was kind of a good accomplishment. That was a Saturday
Yeah,
afternoon bowl game. That was the same day that UConn played the Fenway Bowl, same afternoon, believe it or not. BC lost a tough one to Nebraska, but as you know, the bowl game's a little iffy, so we were
yeah,
still pretty happy with the season last year. This year, got Dylan Longren, new QB from Alabama. You're thinking, oh, okay, okay. Pretty, you heard good things all summer. And then had a nice win versus Fordham. And then week two, excuse me, Michigan State, national TV, NBC,
yeah,
take them to double OT on the road. And they lost right at the last second. Well, it was a double OT, one of those 2-point conversions. We missed it. They made it. So that's a tough loss, but you're like,
yeah,
all right. And then, Jared, we got to Stanford. And this is kind of when the wheels started. We were up 17-6 in game three versus Stanford, and they came back and beat us. Late night game. It was like 2 in the morning. It was crazy. That's that ACC conference game at 2 in the morning.
yeah,
And then, so you're like, oh, okay, wow, that. And then Cal came, beat us at the last second, back at home. And then Pittsburgh, and now the wheels really started falling off 2 weeks ago. And there's just, it hasn't really, it's been a long slug. Clemson last week was more expected. But I think starting 2 weeks ago, that Pittsburgh game
yeah,
is where like, wow, you're thinking BC could have been 3-1, maybe 4-0, but now it's gone the other way.
yeah.
And it's tough to explain really why the defense has had injuries, but it's like slicing butter. They've been really weak on the defense side. So I expect UConn to be able to move the ball a lot this Saturday. But that's the big picture. It's definitely a disappointing season.
Yeah, I mean that's a good segue because I was going to ask what seems to be the biggest weakness of this BC team that's led to some of the lack of success that the first half of the season here, but it seems like it's mostly on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the offense is averaging 370 yards per game. Pretty good. I think UConn's what, four or something around that ballpark.
Yeah,
So they're moving the ball pretty well. On offensively, a lot of red zone turnovers against Michigan State. Two turnovers in the 1 yard line,
yeah, that's tough.
rushing the ball that kills you. Um, so they've had that a lot. The drive against Cal, red zone turnover, a lot closing seconds. That would have been the go ahead TD.
Yeah,
And then conversely, yes, a lot of younger players have been forced to play on the defensive secondary, especially. So watch that. If UConn, they could probably exploit the BC's defensive secondary a lot because these teams, Pittsburgh and especially Clemson. That first half versus Clemson, I don't think they punted last week.
good.
So
Yeah,
BC was just getting exposed. BC did a pretty good job moving the ball themselves, but it was not good. Now, I will say, though, in the second half last week, I believe they held Clemson scoreless. So
okay.
there's some positives there. But Jared, it's a young team, a lot of injuries. Bill
Yeah,
O'Brien's not making excuses, but it's true. It is what it is. So definitely, of the two sides of the ball, BC's defense is what one strong side of the ball, special teams actually for BC. They've done a lot better than last year. We're
okay.
happy with the well, it's always when you're happy with the punter,
Yeah,
that's always not a great
that's
sign.
not a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes for an interesting matchup because obviously UConn come in led by Joe Fagnano, who's a 7-year starter here, and
Yeah, what's his story? 7 years? What's that all about?
yeah, I mean going from
COVID, I
yeah,
assume.
COVID, injuries, you throw it in there. He's had it. But you've got, a reliable quarterback in Joe Fagnano. I think he's the last quarterback standing in the country that hasn't thrown an interception and has averaged above X amount of yards. I forget the stat I saw floating around that the other day. But if he's got a guy in Skylar Bell, who's a fantastic wide receiver, and some other weapons that they could just get the ball to. That secondary is a bit exploitable. I think that makes for an interesting matchup. And then I think on the flip side, the UConn defense is probably something they're looking to shore up a little bit. So if BC is able to move the ball a bit, I think it makes this an interesting matchup.
Yeah, for sure. So that's probably going to be that side you watch, UConn O versus BCD, at
Yeah,
least initially early on. And Bill O'Brien, saw his press conference today. He mentioned those two players for UConn. So they know. I mean, they
yeah,
know what UConn's bringing to the table. He really likes your Fagano, your QB.
yeah,
So I mean, yeah, and Jim Moore Jr. has done a really good job exploring that.
yeah.
And I think that's good. How's UConn's defense in your opinion? How are they looking on the other side?
They've shown some flashes. I mean, they held Syracuse to 6 points for 3.5 quarters of football.
Whoa.
Then went on the road to Delaware, got shredded. So it's one of
Yeah.
those units that's kind of gone back and forth a little bit. Obviously against FIU, held them to I think 10 points. It was 51-10 and really held them in check until garbage time kind of scored there. But I think it's going to be interesting to see him go up again. There's always a bit of a difference when you go up against some of these power opponents, but I think UConn's closing that gap a bit, especially on the football side there. That it's not quite as big of a gap as it used to be. I'm curious, Mike, though, going into this game, 1-5 going to BC. Have the fans quit on this season yet? Is this going to be a quiet crowd up in Chestnut Hill?
So I think they've sold about, BC holds 45,500 seats. Beautiful campus, by the
Yeah.
way. Beautiful setting for college football, right on campus. We don't have to drive to East Hartford, 30 miles away. And I'm just kidding. I could joke from that. I'm from West Hartford.
Yeah.
But no, but so I think last I heard over 30,000 seats have been sold. A lot of that's going to be UConn.
Okay.
This is your Super Bowl, right? So
I don't know about that. We got Duke
uh,
coming in a couple weeks, so
Yeah, there you go. But no, so it should be a good crowd. The BC crowd's interesting, Jared. It's homecoming. Um, how do I say this? It's a forgiving crowd in a lot of ways. Boston has professional teams. The
yeah,
Patriots, the Celtics are starting next week. I think tomorrow. The Bruins already started. So there's a lot going on. So BC can kind of fall through the cracks there. And you still get a lot of fans. They love to tailgate. They love to just be on campus.
yeah,
Um, so win, lose, or draw, like the crowd, and this was aided
shows up.
last weekend by Clemson. I think it was a sellout. And
Okay,
you think 1-4. There
yeah,
are a lot of orange, but still a lot of BC fans came. So there's only 6 home games. So yeah, I think I'll have a great environment. The weather looks perfect.
yeah, it does.
Um, so I think it'll be good. I think it's always good. I love to play UConn and these New England games,
Yeah,
UMass, even like a Pittsburgh, Rutgers when they come. It's always good to have. Even Maine a couple years ago brought a lot
yeah,
of people. So I think it's a really good situation. I hope BC UConn can play every year. I think there'll be a little
yeah,
gap, right, though, after this year.
yeah. I think there is. I think it's not till for a few years here, but I didn't realize it was homecoming. So UConn's got a chance to spoil homecoming.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this weekend here. I'm curious. I know it's only year two for Bill O'Brien, but 1-5. Is he starting to get a little bit of pressure up there from the fans?
He gets like the Twitter, the burner
Yeah,
community. That's always you have to take that a grain of salt. But from like no, to answer your question, no. He's year two, October. He has one, maybe even honestly, if he does it poorly next year, I think he'll be okay.
yeah,
I think he signed a 5-year deal. He makes close to $5 million a year. This was a big step for BC. This was a big get for BC 2 years ago, right?
yeah,
You kind of go from Jeff Hafley, who's actually doing really well at Green Bay, the
yeah.
defensive coordinator. So Bill O'Brien was considered a really good get. Like BC made out well in that coaching
Definitely.
transition. Came from the Patriots, former Penn State head coach, Texans head coach,
Yeah,
worked with Nick Saban, Alabama. He's got the pedigree. You know him. When
yeah.
the average fan knows him across the country, it's good. So no, I think he has a long runway to go here. Uh, Year, I think a little bit more. Not too many guys from last year to the transfer portal this year have done that much of an impact.
Yeah.
Dylan Logren is our QB. Something to watch, though. I'm hearing some rumblings that Grayson James might play a little bit for BC. He's the
Okay.
backup QB. He actually played a lot last year when Thomas Castellanos quit the
Yep.
team mid-year, with like 3 games left. So, and he did well the last 3 games of the year. Grayson James, he's a senior. Dylan Logren beat him out in August this year. So he's
Okay.
kind of waiting in the wings. He's a senior. I do expect him at least get some significant playing time on Saturday.
All right. I mean, the only reason why I ask about O'Brien is you never know in these in this transfer portal NIL era. I feel like people expect these programs to be turned around in overnight, basically, and
Yeah,
not quite as easy as it looks.
no, and BC's a little immune to that, Jared. BC, I can't ever remember them firing a coach in season, something like that. They always
Yeah.
wait to the end of the year, and there's a long runway. It's not, how do I say this? It's not Alabama, it's not Penn State, it's not, you have time.
Yeah.
He'll have at least 4 years, I would guess, if I,
Yeah.
before we even start that discussion.
All
Now, he might get sick of it too. He might want to go somewhere else. That sometimes happens because BC's not the easiest place to win. We don't know exactly how much of the 20.5 million is being used for the NIL. We
Yeah.
don't. It's BC's a private school, so they don't really have to release that for the not the NIL, the budget.
The revenue sharing. Yeah.
Yes, to pay the players. We're not sure how much is being used, how much of that for football versus men's basketball, other sports. We have hockey too. You guys do as well.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder. Also, a new president is coming in June,
Okay.
replacing Father Leahy. So you have to wonder if that might change. So there's a little bit of moving parts here at BC, especially after this season coming up.
No, it's good. It's gonna make for a fun, interesting matchup. UConn going for the sweep after the back-to-back wins in the basketball exhibition on Monday night over at
Oh
Mohegan Sun.
yeah, I was there, man. I
So
was there
safely,
at Mohegan Sun. We were ahead what for 2 or 3 minutes the second half.
yeah, you had your 90 seconds there. But Mike, I really appreciate you taking some time to come on and give us some insight into this BC team and what to expect on Saturday. So we'll be curious to see how this one turns out. But as always, it should be a fun one at least.
Yeah, and now Jared, I heard someone told me you're going you're going to be at the game, right?
Yeah, I will be there. So
So
my first
you
trip
got to
up to
say
BC.
hello. And
Yeah,
like I said to all, I was saying before, all the fans who come from UConn, parking is a little bit of an issue in Chestnut Hill. So, plan ahead. I would like maybe go to the T Riverside and take that to Chestnut Hill T stop. You can walk over or get off at Reservoir T stop in Cleveland Circle and walk around the reservoir. Do that or Uber in from the city. But just have a plan. It's not a place where you got like a Rentschler where you can just kind of pay $20, drive up and park in the field next to the
yeah,
stadium. It's a
yeah.
little bit dicey. You have to have a parking pass beforehand to do that. So I just encourage UConn fans to kind of plan ahead for that
No,
situation.
no, good advice, and thank you for helping out the UConn fans. They appreciate it. So
Oh yeah, hey, I'm from Connecticut. You gotta remember. I remember when they built Rentschler Field, 2003. You might be
yeah,
too young for that, Jared. I
no,
don't
no, I
know.
was there. I was there for the opener.
Yeah, yeah. Who they
Mike,
here's the quick. Who they play?
it was Indiana.
There you go. I think it was August 30th, 2003.
All right, you might have me beat on the date. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but
Yeah, yeah. I remember. You know why you remember that? Because I was in senior high school. I was driving up to BC game, senior like to check out campus or whatever,
yeah,
and they were playing Wake Forest, and I was late to the BC game because I got stuck at 84 going through Hartford because all UConn fans were going to East Hartford.
there
So that's how I remember
you
that
go.
situation.
There you
But I
go.
think I was a senior at Northwest.
All right, all right. Well, Mike, thanks again for hopping on and enjoy the game Saturday.
All right, Jared. Hey, this is good for New England.
Yeah, it is.